Welcome to IBC 2024 and to On Track with Ateliere Creative Technologies, the show produced at the show. And with me today, I'm the host, by the way, Johan Bolin from Ateliere Creative Technologies. With me today, I have Andy.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Andy.
Great to be here with you on that train.
On this train, and this is in difference from the train you usually take in Germany. This cannot jump in time.
Yeah, you're referring to the post I did recently on LinkedIn, which got 430,000 impressions. Crazy, because Deutsche Bahn answered. I was making fun of them, but they were really cool, saying we're quite famous for time anomalies. And yeah, they're right.
If you manage to figure out how to jump in time, I think you deserve the 400 something K impressions. But what are you doing when you're not at IBC?
Well,
when you are at IBC.
I am at IBC, and when I'm not at IBC, I'm connecting the dots. I work with vendors and operators, bring them together on topic that matters, that solves problems that they have, challenges, talk about the future of the industry, where are things heading. I moderate a lot, produce events, so I'm having fun. And I work with people that I like.
Very good. And I know since you are working a lot with telecom operators and pay TV providers, someone would call them, super aggregation is a hot area in that industry. And in front of me, I have a couple of statements. And I'm going to read the first statement and see if you agree on that.
Okay.
And the first statement says, Google won the super aggregation war. Do you think that is true or false?
Google won the super aggregation war. Okay. So what does that mean is so it's not a no or yeah, it's a yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
So you can, yeah, it's a little bit difficult to answer maybe.
It is difficult to answer.
Actually, maybe we should start with trying to sort out what does it really mean, super aggregation, because I think that's a term that is a little bit undefined, if you will. There's a lot of talk about it, but different people tend to mean different things with it.
Yeah. So let's talk about first what is super aggregation not. Having an app store is not super aggregation. Because the aggregation piece means you aggregate the user experience. So the user experience is a central element to having it. You need to have the right pieces or the relevant content for your country. If you're in the Nordics, a lot of local content. If you don't have that, it's not super aggregation. It's aggregation, but not super. So several elements that make it super or mega or giga aggregation as you want. It's cross-search, cross-recommendation. It's all the relevant content, ideally with billing and bundling, single sign-on, and then it becomes one UX that the customer uses, whether it's Netflix or Disney or the local channel, public broadcasters, all that together with right metadata and so on.
So according to you, just having Netflix and Disney Plus on your setup box doesn't mean super aggregation.
And then it's you put several silo walls next to each other, and the customer needs to go there, search, doesn't find, then opens the next one, opens the next one. That's not aggregated. It's half aggregated.
It's half aggregated, not super aggregated.
No.
Definitely not super. So in this idea of super aggregation and this war, if you like, who do you think are the ones that are most likely to win in the end? Because we have completely different kind of actors in this war, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about the actors. You have the telco operators, pay TV operators. So when I saw one step back, telcos, if it's a super aggregation, it includes connectivity, broadband, mobile, and that's a bundle, the triple play bundles, and we know clearly if you add video to that, churn is significantly lower than if you do a dual play only. So telco operators, then you have the content owners. So Disney could try to be an aggregator, and they do.
I mean, they kind of are, like in their contents, which is wide, but of course not everything.
Not super, because they're not aggregating Netflix, and Netflix might not be aggregating Prime.
True.
And vice versa. So the content owners, then there is the hardware OEMs, Samsung and LG. They are an aggregator on their TVs, not yet super because they don't sell you subscriptions. It's more there's multiple apps that are aggregated in that user interface, but they clearly have a play. They understand service revenue is much more interesting than hardware sales. And then you have the OS guys, Google, RDK, some of the TV OS try to do that as well.
Apple.
Apple, yes, the big tech, let's call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the critical elements of having super is also on the other side. What are the touch points, the devices I can cover? And that's why I say Google is very well positioned because they cover all the touch points. TVs, set-top boxes, mobile phones, tablets, and so on and so forth. While several of the OSs or several of the these players that we talked about just have one category really well, but not the others. And that's why I need a holistic experience as a customer. So we're back to the central element, user experience.
And in that discussion about, or from the aspect of user experience, some of these players you just mentioned, like Google and Apple, are also very strong in the mobile space. Do you think owning the mobile will be more important or less important or the same important in this war?
It depends a bit country by country, and not every country is at the same point in time, at the same stage in that journey. If you have the younger audiences tend to watch a lot on mobile, then of course controlling mobile is super important. If you have the 70 plus, they're mostly on set-top boxes still. Then the set-top box. And by the way, it's not dying because that is the control element the telcos and the pay TV operators can control. They can't control the user experience across apps on a TV screen, nor on a bring your own device, but they can do it on a set-top box.
Yeah.
By the way, so for me, why do I say Google has not won? Because the telcos are also very strong in that. They own the customers because they have the mobile and the broadband subscription. And if you have a seamless experience of the whole thing, that's what they bring. And in the end, the question is for the customers, who do I trust? It's a game of trust. And where I place my eggs, I trust a Deutsche Telekom more than Google, then, and that's on a mass phenomenon, then I think Deutsche Telekom will be better positioned.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense.
The likes,
I think that makes
others
sense
as well.
Yeah. So I think this is a huge topic, and we're gonna follow up on that coming years, maybe next year.
Yep.
Another question I have here on my list or statement is related to what is most likely the most used topic at IBC 2024, and that's of course AI.
Yes.
So. And the statement here says that we don't quite yet know how to use AI. It's more like a hype still than something that is actually contributing. What would you say? You are talking to a lot of big T1s and so on. And so do you think that's...
This is green, huh? It's... well, it's picked up by the green screen. So, I wouldn't say it's a hype, but it's still a lot of experimentation going on. Yeah. So there are the obvious use cases in customer care. Chatbots get more intelligent. You know how to do more. You can talk to them. It's a lot of that is cost driven. How do I bring down the cost? So when I talk to them, they often say, "Yeah, we started with cool innovation. We then get the request on how do we reduce cost." On really media use cases, there's some promising stuff. Mostly on search and recommendation. That's one. Content discovery, metadata enhancement. There are some, but it's still early days.
It's still early days. And do you think, because sometimes I get the feeling that we have been talking too much about AI itself as a concept and too little about the processes and applications where we actually use it. We tend to start in the wrong end. Isn't the right end to start? What applications and workflows do we have? And then think about, can AI and how could AI be used in this?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the questions I get, what are the challenges? There's many, starting from regulation to barriers of the teams or the customers or updating T's and C's. But indeed, the question is, what are the use cases that really make sense, that help me to monetize better or reduce cost? Automation.
Yeah.
Because AI is not cheap to run 24/7, 365. So you need to make your choices, and then yeah, whether it's Google, Amazon, or Microsoft, that's one question. But often I say, well, let's put an orchestration layer on top, because one is better here, the other is better there. Whether better, they're still trying to figure it out. But yeah, and by the way, just talking, I see over there a banner saying AI, AI. It's everywhere.
We even have it on our booth, since we use AI for a lot of things. But to round this discussion off, this could go on for hours.
Yes.
We're gonna do a small TV game show inspired quiz.
Ah, okay.
And for those of you, if any of you watching this were kind of living in the UK in the 70s, you might recognize a roller belt quiz from a game show called the Generation Show. In general, I think that game shows is kind of underrated. Maybe we do too little game shows nowadays, but we're gonna do one here. So we're gonna see how well you know your movies.
Oh, I'm very bad at that.
So this gonna be now a roller belt with a number of objects from what I think is famous movies and famous objects from those famous movies, and we're gonna see how many of those you nail.
Okay.
So if we have some engineer who can help us, let's roll the roller belt or the conveyor belt. So it's obviously the movie we want to know. You're writing a lot. That's a good sign.
I'm losing the last ones.
It was kind of tricky, right?
Yes, very tricky.
Very tricky.
Very tricky. Tough.
Very tricky. So I let you think a little bit, and then we will, when we share this video, we will also share what was the right movies, and we're gonna share how many of those Andy nailed. So look out for that, and
Not many.
we'll see. Thank you for joining me on this ride.
Great. Thanks for riding.